if you're ready.
10:43. Okay, we're almost on time, too.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. In this episode of The Full Nerd, ads and drivers, better GPU cooling, and Surface laptop. Welcome to The Full Nerd, episode 22, recorded on May 2nd, 2017. Happy birthday to my daughter, Marianne. It is today.
Whoa, that's
Yay.
crazy.
Happy
birthday.
You just doxed her, dude.
Yes, I got it. Yeah. It's actually a fake name I use. I actually have a completely made-up family and everything. I live alone in a really horrible apartment, but no.
Or a bunker.
I am Gordon Mong with co-host Brad and Bunker in a basement somewhere. With co-host Brad Charkis, we've totally already gone off the rails.
Hello.
And reviews editor Elena Lee. Just say I messed it up. Reviews editor Elena Yee.
Hi, everybody.
And controlling the vertical and horizontal is Adam Patrick Murray.
Gordon, I don't know if you knew this, but tomorrow is my birthday. So, you know, I share a birthday with your kids. I think that's why I like them.
Is that true? Or are you just trying to like set us up to go to Denny's?
Very
You're going to go to Denny's. This is my birthday. I don't have my ID. I left it home. Watch this video. It's on the internet. Well, okay, sir. You get the free breakfast at Denny's.
Yeah, maybe I'll get something
Happy
special.
birthday.
Hey, thank you.
Although, tomorrow.
Over the weekend, I read a book. It's called Encyclopedia Brown. Have you heard of it?
I think it's called Wikipedia Brown. It's been updated for the
Wikipedia
2017. Brown. It's really awesome. It's like an encyclopedia, but there's just people inserting random ass stuff in there. I'd use the A word there, but
so it's like a crowdsourcing private detective, huh?
Yes, yes. Just goes out there and arrests the wrong person.
Okay.
All right, I want to guess because people complain. They say you take us off the rails, and they go, you don't talk about technology.
I tried real hard to get you off the rails on that one. You didn't.
First thing though, and I know it's a little dated, but I really want to talk about this because I think it's really valuable because clearly someone is going to do it again. But it's something about what happens when you install drivers with your new AMD card there, Brad.
Wait, I thought
GPU.
Hold up, I thought we were talking about Surface laptops first.
Oh, is that first?
Yeah.
Wait, what is? I can't read that.
Can you read the screen? It says Surface laptop. Let's do that.
The screen is like this big.
I know. Sorry, we got to get a bigger one.
Are we going Surface laptop first?
Yeah,
let's talk Surface laptop first.
Let's do it. See, it's lit up.
Surface laptop.
Boom.
All right, first Surface. Okay. See, there was some strategizing, though. I thought we were going to talk about that last.
That was just a tease. That was part of the plan. Right?
Yeah,
sorry.
Now people know what's coming.
All right, so the first topic is, of course, Surface laptop.
There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We want to hear about that.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know, this morning, Microsoft did an event in New York City where they also have Salsa, I believe. And they announced the new Surface laptop, 13.5-inch, Core i5, Core i7. I don't really know that much else about it. I'm still trying to absorb all the specs. Does anybody know? I guess really is like, what the hell is Microsoft doing with this thing?
Well, they're running Windows 10S on it, which is their new version of Windows RT. It's designed to run on x86 chips, but essentially you're limited to anything that runs in the Windows Store.
What's the S for? I guess store?
Probably.
It's for, I made that exact joke in my article.
Or
it's
another joke.
For superior performance and secure and stuff like that.
What's up with that, man? I mean, so
they already used RT. They had to fill in the blank, right?
Well, do you believe that? I mean, I guess because you're getting it from the store, you're not downloading it just off a website. Here's some apps. So apps only come from the store, right? So that's how it's more secure.
Windows Store apps run in their own container and stuff like that. So it's not mucking around with the rest of your operating system. It's the exact same pitch that they made for Windows RT, except for now it's focused on education and Chromebooks for the most part. Speed, security.
So, but the thing is, it's really weird because like RT, for people who don't remember, was sort of this gimped operating system. There was really no desktop mode. You couldn't install, legacy x86 applications. It really just did not work for a lot of people. But this is a little different, though, right? Because it'll run x86.
Yep, because they're still x86 laptops, right? They can run x86 apps, but the catch is they can only run the ones that are in the Windows Store. So, like Evernote made apps, Microsoft's converting the desktop version of Office over to Windows Store apps. So, any desktop apps that can run that are in the Windows Store, it can run. Whereas Windows RT, the old Surface, couldn't do that because it used ARM chips. And if like you buy the Surface laptop and you decide, hey, I hate this, I want to get Windows 10 Pro, they'll let you upgrade to that for free for this year, or $50 after that. So it's a little different under the hood.
And who is not going to do that, right? And just who is not going to upgrade to a full
I feel like that's the question I have for the entire concept behind this, because we haven't even gotten to pricing yet.
Yeah.
So like Core i5 version is supposed to be what, $999, basically $1,000. And I think was it Core i7 version was supposed to be like what, $1,500 or $1,600?
I got it right here. I can tell you.
Yeah.
Got it.
This is all has integrated graphics. The entry level Core i5 is $1,000 with 128 gigabyte SSD with 4 gigabytes of RAM. One cool thing, maybe cool, maybe not thing, that they said during the presentation is that they actually integrate the SSD into the motherboard with this. So it sounds super weird. They said it.
That takes courage. I gotta tell you, that takes courage.
That's
I don't know
not
about
cool.
you.
I would not use the word cool there, but go ahead. I don't want to.
Sucks if you gotta switch it out or repair it. I'm guessing you can't.
Sorry, I messed up your. I messed up your spec read off. So i5 $1,000, 4 gigs, 128. What else we get?
All right, so there's another i5 that's $1,300 that you get 256 gigs SSD and 8 gigs of RAM.
Wow.
So
$300.
It's the Surface, man. It's like the same as a MacBook. They took over Apple's pricing with the Surface line.
And the i7?
That's actually much cheaper than the original Pixel was, believe it or not. The Chromebook Pixel, the laptop there.
Yeah,
but the Core i7 ones, they have slightly better integrated graphics, but still integrated graphics. The base version is $1,600, and it also has 256 gigabyte SSD and 8 gigabyte memory. The highest end one, the Core i7, is $2,200. It has a 512 gigabyte SSD and a 16 gigabyte memory capacity.
And none of those have USB-C, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, they have one mini DisplayPort, SD card reader, USB, normal USB.
Yeah, 5 gig.
And
not even 10
that MagSafe like charge port. That
Surface port and the charger. So, I mean, that kind of sucks. I got to say that when I saw that, I expected it because Microsoft is not going to give up. They just can't give up on the Surface port. They just sunk too much into it.
I do see some kind of logic in what they said where it's compatible with existing chargers, but I would have preferred to have both that and the USB-C charge ability. Yeah. Because I do like that kind of MagSafe like approach where if I trip on it, it's not going to damage the port.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I think it's actually cool. Like, so on the XPS 13, what Dell did is because, everybody's got a billion of those Dell barrel chargers, they actually integrated a Thunderbolt 3 port that lets you charge. So you can charge through the Thunderbolt 3 port, USB-C, and you can charge through the proprietary Dell barrel charger that everybody's got a billion of. So I like that approach because, you can just plug in USB-C later on once we sort of move in. I got to say, we're there.
I would have liked that, especially because these are, ostensibly designed for students. That's what their whole pitch is. Hey, if you're going to college, don't get a MacBook Pro, get this. I would have really liked to see USB-C.
Yeah, I mean, it's just USB-C it's there. I mean, this HP, not Apple, by the way, is USB-C. We've got XPS 13, the XPS 2. I mean, there's we're probably like 12 laptops now. We are clearly in the USB-C world, but I think the reason why they didn't do Thunderbolt 3, it's not really USB-C, is that Surface port, they plumb a crap load of stuff. There's PCIe that goes through there. There's charging. There's all kinds of stuff that goes through that to their whole docking thing. If they had to actually add another Thunderbolt 3 port, then you were talking about also routing, charging to the other side of the laptop, and then also PCIe. And it is definitely an engineering challenge. You're adding more to it. You're adding more complexity, more cost, more weight. So I can see why they did it, but man, I got to tell. Oops, sorry.
Oh, man, Gordon, every episode, man.
I still think it just sucks, though. It's just hard to you getting a modern laptop without USB-C support?
I know, that's kind of the thing, right? Where you're talking about cost and weight, and both of those have pretty much either gone up or have stayed at a price point that I'm scratching my head over when it comes to the idea of this being for education.
Yeah.
So now this is what I think I read. It's like a 2.76 pound laptop, whereas a Surface Pro 3 is what, like 2.1 or something with the type cover.
Yeah, this is not a
2.2.
This is
With
not
the
a light
type cover,
laptop.
though.
Right, it's with the type cover.
Well, it's with the full normal.
but it actually
real-
has a type,
the
it's not the
keyboard.
touch cover
Yeah.
from the original generation.
Oh yeah,
It's
I
not the
got
crappy one. I
They're
don't
not
even
the
know if they
crappy-
make that anymore.
I don't think so. I think they gave up on that
It's a
finally.
good collectible to have, though. So,
Why? So you can torture your enemies with it?
just, you know.
You give it to your
Give us
worst
the
enemy.
location of the secrets, or we'll make you type on this piece.
Right? Exactly.
No, give me a butterfly keyboard. I'd rather type on that.
So
But that's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Adam.
I was just going to say, from an overall perspective, you review a lot of these laptops, especially the thin and lights. Where is that balance between, hey, you want all these nice features, but you also want something thin, light, and pretty? I mean, where, for you specifically, where does that balance, start to cross?
So one of the reasons I bring up this whole weight cost thing is that you can get an HP Spectre or, a Dell XPS 13 with the USB-C charging. And I think even more ports than what you're getting with this Surface laptop for the same starting price. So it's about the same weight. It probably runs, I'm guessing, even a little bit faster because Dell and HP are going to tweak their fan performance a certain way. I'm guessing that if this is like the Surface Pro 3, they're going to keep it more to the cool and quiet side. And if this is supposed to be for education, if they mean college students as education, that's a little different. But when I hear education, I think, like K through 12. And so this is pretty expensive for a K through 12 sort of thing.
No, go ahead.
They kind of trying to have their cake and eat it too with this. They announced Windows 10s for education and hyped up, $189, $200 laptops, and that's for schools. And then when they switched to this, they said, hey, this is for the college student. This is for the people who are in education further down the line, and they want something to last
Sure.
them and be nice in the adult world and stuff like that. So they're kind of trying to have their cake and eat it too. It's kind of mixed messaging, it felt like.
But if you're a grown up, why wouldn't you just grown up, excuse me, air quotes here for everyone who's just on the audio only. Why wouldn't you just buy something like, the Spectre or the XPS 13?
I don't know.
I don't see what specifically makes the Surface laptop so appealing compared to those, rivals.
Well, the Surface has a lot of brand awareness, right? The Surfaces are nice machines, and they haven't had a pure laptop before.
That's true.
And I think that getting into pure laptops, is probably going to piss off Dell and HP and all the OEMs, right? So if they introduce this and say, hey, it's, Windows 10s, it's limited, to the Windows stores and so on and so forth. It lets them get their foothold into pure laptops, kind of stomping on the ground of their hardware partners, but saying, hey, we nerfed it.
Yeah, but who's going to buy it then if it's nerfed?
It's a Surface laptop. You can upgrade to Windows 10 Pro for free
I know you
to the end of the year.
but that's like an extra step. That's like hassle, right? Like who wants to go through that extra step if they don't need to? That's the part where I'm trying to understand like what the positioning on this really is.
I don't. It makes no sense to me.
Well, and also hasn't the Surface line traditionally been something where Microsoft is like, oh, hey, we have these features, we want to show something off, and this is kind of our vision of how to implement it and kind of lead the hardware manufacturers forward. Like, oh, you should kind of copy us, but I mean, this doesn't do anything that anybody else does, right? This isn't pushing anything forward. Right?
Well, it has Windows 10s.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a gate that's not really pushing anything forward. That's holding something back from others. But yeah,
I got to say, I mean, I sort of think it's ridiculous. 99.9% of people are going to take them up on Pro because why not? But I don't know if Windows 10s is really going to perform as well as they say it will. Because, I mean, like, I don't know about you guys, but like Windows Store apps for me have always really just been like ridiculously slow.
Also,
they're designed a lot around touch, even though they say there's starting to be desktop apps coming into there, and they're just kind of clunky and they're kind of have wasted space. And I disagree with you. I don't think they're slower. I think they respond really well. I think, like, if you open up Gears of War, it'll open and close instantaneously.
Well, see, the thing,
yeah, for sure.
Now, to be fair, I'm not saying that they are slow once they're loaded, because I mean, they do. Like Edge, honestly, is a better browser. And it's sort of a store browser. I mean, there are a lot of, like, once the apps are launched, it is super smooth. But man, you like launching? I don't know. Like the first launch, like, oh, I'm into the OS, I'm going to launch it. I'm like, this must be like a 200K app, right? And it's like 5-second launch. Like I could launch like 5 things on Android or iOS in the time that it takes to launch some things in the Windows Store, and I don't understand why. And this goes all the way back to the original Surface Pro for me. It's like tremendous amounts of horsepower, but it's so slow to launch. But you think Gears actually launched pretty fast? I guess I got to try it. So
It launches. I've never had any of the issues you're talking about
right
with
now.
Windows Store
Yeah.
apps.
Yes, same with
to me, they always launch immediately.
And same with Forza. I played Forza Horizon a lot, and yeah, I never had any problems with it. In the chat, though, real quick, Grim says college students can barely afford ramen. How does Microsoft expect them to buy a new laptop?
A lot of college students will spend for brand, right? That's, I think, the idea that Microsoft.
Yeah.
There's a lot of college students already buying MacBooks.
Mm-hmm.
I think like the entry level Windows 10s devices are for Chromebooks and schools, but I think this is really Microsoft trying to line up a MacBook competitor without pissing off Dell and HP and all them too much.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I know there's that stereotype of college kids and ramen, but like whenever I see like pictures of like rows and rows of kids, it's like look at all those hell of expensive laptops, right? They got little glowing apples on them.
They're starving because they spent it
But
on the
at
laptop.
the same time, is that just simply the perception we get? Because like, oh look, it's all those kids at Stanford or Princeton or Yale. You know what? You're going to Fresno State. Are you rolling a MacBook Pro? I don't know.
Also might be used or hand me down too.
One thing that's cool about these is the battery life. We should talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, they claim 14.5 hours, right?
Yeah, they claim 14.5, and they say it won't lose any charge if you're not using it because of the way it's configured. So they said, like, if you leave your laptop on, don't shut it down completely, close it, go to spring break, come back, it'll be the exact same battery percentage when you return.
So is that because there are just not many apps in the Windows Store to even put on your machine to begin with? Because that was my complaint about Windows RT. And I feel like, are you really? I haven't checked because I haven't used the Windows Store for a lot of stuff when I am testing Windows 10 laptops. Can you even get Chrome through the store? I don't think so,
no,
right?
not at all.
You can't get
There are
alternative.
no other
Win32.
Yeah, you can't get alternative browsers. I think the only worthwhile app for me would be Netflix now that they have the downloads for offline viewing. But otherwise, I don't really know what I'd be doing in the Windows Store.
Yeah,
Well,
And some games.
yeah, there's a couple of games,
yeah.
but that's why they're moving Office over too.
well, that is really a good point though. When they say, I want to talk about that point where you close the lid, and basically you don't impact battery life. I wonder, are they saying only, or we're talking about Windows Store apps only, or if you have Office or say Chrome launched, is that
I don't think you can. I think I read that.
you would be running in Pro.
Well, in that case, then you're
Right.
just running in Pro.
Right, but what I'm wondering is if that feature is
yeah.
available in normal Win32, and I gotta say because they haven't said what memory's in there, but clearly it's not LPDDR4 because I don't think there is LPDDR4 with Kaby Lake. These are Kaby Lake laptops, so it's going to be LPDDR3, which everybody's had. It does save power, but they're saying basically Kindle-like uses no battery. Are they doing something else that is exclusive to Surface Laptop where you close the lid, it immediately caches everything out, to the SSD and, basically uses no power? Because that is really the only way you can consume no power, right?
I wouldn't be
don't-
surprised if the fact that it only runs Windows Store apps plays into that too, because those run as one thing. They don't have all the threads in the background. They don't
Right.
have all the processes. There's no AV running back there. So
Would you be disappointed though if they we only meant that feature's only if you Windows Store. You're running Chrome? No, that ain't gonna happen.
I bet you that goes away in an instant if you upgrade to Windows 10 Pro. All these claims, I bet, are stock as is. If you upgrade to Windows 10 Pro, that goes right out the window.
Yeah, I can't see it working otherwise.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, maybe because how do they have this special feature where other vendors don't have it? So, and as far as the battery life, 14.5 hours. And I got to say, because a lot of people, battery claims can be kind of full of baloney, right, from a lot of vendors. Microsoft has generally been very accurate. They say, like Surface Book, Surface Pro, we've sort of gotten exactly what they say you can get out of it for battery rundown tests. And I think they're doing the same thing here, but they haven't said how big the battery is. But the fact that it's a 2.76 pound laptop, which is not light, it's got to have a big ass battery, right? Like 80 watt hours maybe or something like that. I think the MacBook Pro 13 is 50 watt hours. So maybe 70, something like that.
I'd hope so. Otherwise, why is it so heavy?
Yeah. What else are they, doing? The other thing is that screen too. The screen.
As a person who uses like ThinkPad laptops, I'm sitting here shocked that you guys call 2.76 pounds heavy. That's such a light laptop.
Yeah, it is actually. I think it's like XPS 13 is like sub 2.5, right? I mean, everything.
I think it depends on the battery config.
Yeah.
So if you get the bigger battery, it's not going to be at 2.5.
Or 4K. If you're doing 4K with touch,
Yeah.
that's going to add some weight. But generally, I'd say 2.5 is sort of like, would you say, because Elaine is like a huge super light laptop fan.
I am.
Right.
I'm willing to make sacrifices other people don't.
'Cause
Like
what-
terrible keyboard.
Is it Samsung
not a
or
great keyboard.
Is it Samsung or Acer? No, LG.
So Samsung had their Notebook 9, and that was like 2 pound or just under 2 pound, 13-inch laptop, mostly plastic, obviously. And then the LG has the Gram 14. That's a 14-inch laptop. That's I'm reviewing that one right now. The revision for this year, it's 2.2 pounds.
Yeah.
And the 15-inch from last year was also 2.2 pounds.
Yeah, and it's really funny because 2.76 pounds is a heavy laptop, believe it or not. In the world we live in, because modern laptops have just gotten stupidly light.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a POS corporate issue machine, right?
Yeah, like this right here. This
When
Lenovo I've
people
got.
don't know when our IT department orders it, they like add in extra weight. There's like a little lead
Just some
weight
sand,
under
yeah.
there. You can like
Just
There's
put
no
some-
SSD option. That's the part that kills me. I don't care about the size.
But no,
yeah.
so one thing I got to say. So during the keynote today, Panos said, "Hey, this is cool," and you even called it cool. So that Hypnotoad stuff worked on you, Brad.
Uh-oh.
The cool feature.
Getting pumped.
Look, man, and I'm going to say this because I'm going to be consistent because I give Apple tons of grief for soldering the SSD to the motherboard, which just sucks because it's like it's done. You ain't never done doing anything to the laptop. Microsoft has done the same thing. Of course, they're like, we did this to get better battery life, blah 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 blah, all this stuff. And I guess I guess you can integrate that so you have full control over it. People are not going to screw this up. You don't have to worry about following all the connections. But I mean, is it worth it? I mean, you've got like a laptop you can never ever upgrade. I mean, it just I just think that is not a good trend.
I don't.
Especially because M2 SSDs are, gumstick size these days too. It's not even saving much space.
Yeah. It's not really space. I mean, a little bit on the PCB because you can eliminate, the edge connector and everything. But I mean, come on, man.
It made sense for the Pro line, the Surface Pro line, but for a traditional clamshell laptop, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Although, I mean, again, they took a, they did a very Apple thing. They said, like, this thing is so beautiful, you won't feel any seams. There aren't any screws. Like this Spectre, there are screws on the bottom of this.
Oh, no.
There's little Torx head.
No.
It's like, I will,
My
you know what?
delicate fingers.
But that's like a plus because I was like, I'm going to just open this baby up and upgrade the M.2 drive on the air right now. And that to me is a feature. And to like somehow say that is a good thing that the only way you can open that laptop up is with C4. I mean, that is just not, it's not a positive thing, I mean, it's like, it's an appliance and when something goes bad, you throw the whole thing away. I don't buy it. I don't think it's a good thing.
Well, actually, so Lucas on Facebook is saying the appeal for a lot of people who love Apple is to be able to take it into the store to get it surfaced, and that maybe Microsoft is trying to play off of this as well. Some people want to go straight to the OEM and and not have to fuss with their stuff. So
I mean, I don't know.
The good news is if you go to a Microsoft store, you won't have to wait in line.
wow.
You ever
Hot
going?
take.
Yeah,
Someone needs to call the fire department.
you go. Sometimes I want to go to the Microsoft store. It's like, are you here to see something, sir? Oh no, I was at the Apple store. Got too busy. I got a little claustrophobic. I knew if I ran into the Microsoft store, it's like, ooh, just stretch out here.
yeah.
Ooh, let me put my feet up.
Take a nap.
Sir. That's a Surface Studio. You can't. Oh, sorry. It is a bummer. I mean, they do. It is a bummer they don't get the foot traffic because they do have cool things and great deals at those stores. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. Do people bring their Surface in for repairs there? I don't know if they don't do repairs in real time in a Microsoft store, do they?
I don't know.
I've never set foot in a Microsoft store.
Well,
They have a back area, and I think there is like a technician area like for troubleshooting, but I don't know if it's like the full like Genius Bar experience that you get at Apple.
Yeah, I just don't. And frankly, I suppose some people like that, but I don't like it because.
well, do you think it's better or worse than going to Best Buy and getting a Genius or whatever? What are those? The Geek Squad,
The
Geek
repair
Squad
guys?
touching your stuff? Yeah, which is
guys?
better, Gordon?
I mean, I just think, if it's easily serviceable by yourself, make it serviceable. I personally, I like to think green computing. I'm into green computing, and to be able to service a computer is much better, and you can do it yourself. And the problem with the Apple Store and all these sort of like, oh, bring it in, they'll fix it for you. It's like, oh, it's out of warranty. Yeah, there's the service price on this is $900. I could just buy a new MacBook Air for that much. Okay, we'll recycle this for you, and you give us your credit card, right? I mean, that's the whole idea. Is you bring it in like, oh, it's so much to fix it. Why don't you just give me a new one? I mean, they whatever. That's ridiculous. I mean, but the fact that you can open this thing up and like, oh, I've run out of space. I have the 256 gig M.2 drive. Put in a bigger one. You can do that yourself. But this whole trend to sealed laptops it's just horrible. I mean, remember when you could just change the battery without it being major surgery? Of course, now Apple's convinced everybody now it's major surgery to change your damn battery. So.
I like that. That's one thing I do like about my Lenovo laptop, which is a corporate issued one and is serviceable. Yeah. You can get a bigger battery. So I'm like, hey, this battery life sucks. So I bought a one that has like twice the capacity, and now it lasts twice as long, and it's great.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll say the last MacBook Pro that I ever had was the 17-incher. I could take that. I took out the DVD drive and put a second SSD, changed the battery, upgraded the RAM. Even Macs back in the day, you could customize a little bit. So. Yeah, I don't like this trend either. Not fun.
Yeah. Oh, so the thing is, it's funny, the screen, I did notice the one thing. I thought they just basically said, what parts we got left from Surface Book, right? Well, we got these 13.5-inch screens. Let's just reuse these. It's actually a different screen. I didn't realize this. I looked up the specs. I didn't, because the original Surface Book screen is 3000 by 2000 with the PPI of, what is this? 267. So 6 megapixel screen, 267. This is a 3.4 megapixel screen at 201 ppi. So definitely a lot fewer pixels, and I'm going to guess between big-ass battery and lower density screen, that's where they're getting a lot of the battery life out of. So,
do you do any, Elena? Do you do any sort of a screen test like that, kind of to see if there's that pixel effect of not having a Retina display?
We don't actually have a lot of the high-end tools we wish we had for like in-depth like display.
Do you care about PPI though?
Yeah, but at the same time, I personally don't think it's that huge of a deal. It's either the pixels are there or they're not.
Although let me I'm going to point this out. Let me just point this out. So Surface Book 267 ppi, XPS 15 with a 4K panel, 15-inch, 15.6-inch screen, 293 ppi. MacBook Pro 15. 226 ppi. MacBook Air 13. Current laptop, $1,000. 128 ppi. It's like an 8-bit console, like one of those little like Game Boys or something. Holy smokes!
That's not even a 1080p screen yet, is it? Right? They just did it. They didn't upgrade it.
I got 1440, I think, on that one.
And I don't think they consider the Air line as like having Retina screens.
No, they don't. I mean, it's
obviously
28 ppi. It's like holy smokes!
It's not great. I can attest to that after using one for a year.
I mean, it's got to have like great big giant pixels, and you can just kind of like.
It's mostly like, how come I can't fit anything on the screen? Oh, yeah. Well, to the external monitor I go.
Yeah. So, real quick, we have plenty of people in the chat that do love the idea of upgrading the internals of their laptop, but we also have Davis here. He says, I say save internal upgrades for a desktop. I can't wait for these to go on sale with big discounts sometime. So, we got somebody looking forward to it, so...
Really? No. I mean, what's the appeal though? I just don't like. I mean, I got to say, I love Surface Book. Surface Pro really sort of paved the way, but there's just some things about the Surface laptop that are like a little disappointing to me. I got to say, like the whole 2-in-1 thing, which I really wasn't a big believer in before, but it's like it's a feature. Like, why not just have it? Why not just it's free, right? You just have it there. Cost. I mean, it's so expensive for this thing. I don't quite get it. It doesn't bring anything for me to the table that the Surface Book or the Surface Pro 4/3 did. What's for this reader? What's it or watcher?
I don't know.
Listener.
Well, yeah, please tell us.
Well, I feel like the key word is discount, right? So I mean, yeah, if you're getting what they showed for $600, you're gonna not complain as much if you can't upgrade anything.
True.
But if you're paying the full $1,000, I think I think it's going to be a little disconcerting when you can't actually touch the innards.
For sure.
$1,300 for 256 gigs, though. And I got to tell you, you do an XPS 13 or a Spectre 13, and you're looking at 512 gigs for that much storage. I mean, it's...
So actually, another guy on YouTube, In the Woods, says, by the time I feel like my laptop needs an upgrade, I'm ready to buy a new laptop anyway.
Yeah.
That's fair until you run into an issue. What if this hard drive dies, right?
Yeah.
Like 6 months after you get it.
Yeah, and I got to say, like, if somebody ran a picture of the tool that Apple has, and I can only compare it, they have a tool, so like if your MacBook Pro dies and you need the data off of there, and they created this gigantic machine to suck the data off of the motherboard, whereas if we're a regular laptop, you just pull the M.2 drive out, swap the board, put it back in, you're good to go. I mean, it just creates a lot, and I just don't really believe in the whole idea of soldering it in.
Even Lucas on Facebook says, the majority of people aren't going to upgrade their laptops. This is a small subset. And then also Into the Woods says, Gordon, you probably complain that you can't upgrade your phone.
Well, yeah, I mean, because just throw it away.
He wept when Project Ara was canceled.
But in fairness to that, they no longer let us even swap out our batteries anymore.
True. Yep.
So,
Right.
Well, no, some of them. The LG V20 from last year, I loved.
But who's buying those?
I love that phone.
I know, but who's really buying those? That market is dying, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure.
No, but I mean, yeah, with a phone, because we have been unfortunately conditioned to just throw the thing away. And I got to say, the worst thing about phones, even though we have everybody saying how great phones are, man, look, they have like a 24-month shelf life before before the OS makers start, loading them down and making them run slower intensely. So you go out and buy a new one. Do you want that to happen with a laptop? Do you really want to be on sort of like this upgrade cycle where like, oh, it's time for me to throw my laptop in the drawer and go buy a new one? It's just, you can get more utility. You could really, I mean, and as much as I'm bagging on that big, ugly corporate laptop Elena's using there, you could really stretch that thing out for, 7 years if you really wanted to. I mean,
I could also drop it out a window.
It'd be terrible by the end, but you could do it. I just don't, the whole trend of disposable computing, I'm not a fan of. So, I mean, like the Surface Book is kind of cool if you think about it, because you could just swap the top part out and, swap the base with the new graphics part, or just swap the tablet out.
Except for they never sold those.
Yeah, they should have, but, Microsoft doesn't want to.
I want to actually diverge off this topic for a second, just a quick aside, unless there's any more questions.
No, we're good for now.
It's not directly related to the Surface Book, but I think the really interesting thing about Windows 10S that we're going to have to watch for is the cheap laptops. Because even though they're selling these for schools, they said that they're going to be available for people to buy, right? So I'm concerned that 6 months from now, if you go and buy a $200 laptop from, one of those low-end entry-level laptops, that they'll no longer have full Windows 10 on it. I'd be concerned that, Acer and Dell and so on don't buy the full Windows 10 license, give you Windows 10S and a $200 laptop, and then you guys spend an extra $50 to upgrade to full Windows.
Interesting. And
You mean like netbooks?
Is there anything? I mean, clearly we have Windows 10S in a $1,600 laptop. Is there anything to prevent an OEM from selling a $2,000 machine with it?
No, they said there's going to be premium versions running Windows 10S coming.
So, and I'm only bringing this up because everybody just always makes fun of this person, but can you run Steam on these?
You cannot run Steam on these.
So you would therefore just buy games through the Microsoft Store, right?
Oh, I see what you're doing here.
What? I'm just saying, because everybody, every time this happens, expect a tweet from, or whatever they're called, from Tim Sweeney of Epic any second now to say, this is Microsoft trying to kill Steam. What is this Windows 10S, right? But a shot at Steam in some ways. Maybe that's what the S stands for. Windows 10 Steam killer.
What? SK. Question though, does any of the eGPU support Windows 10 games? Have you tried any of those?
I haven't.
What is it? UWP or whatever?
Oh, you mean there really should be nothing stopping those UWP games from running with an eGPU. The only issue, of course, a lot of the features, like last time I think people were saying like G-Sync doesn't work over Windows 10 games, UWP. There's just a lot of stuff that just don't work, right? SLI didn't work for a long time. Did they finally fix that? I don't know if they did or not. Of course, Brad doesn't
It doesn't
care.
work anyway.
But
It does because they're adding actually Gears of War, even though it came out months ago. This month is adding SLI support, Crossfire
right.
support.
So I mean, yeah, I mean it should work seamlessly, but but again, to have a more secure Windows 10 version that you can't run Steam on and you can't run Chrome on, that's going to trouble some people. I think it should probably trouble some people.
Yep. That's what they were trying to do from the beginning with Windows RT. This is a little bit tweaked, but it's basically the return of Windows RT.
Yeah,
they're
sort
trying
of.
to schools.
But with an escape hatch, right? So,
Yep.
which everybody will take immediately, I think.
It's almost akin to Windows 7 Starter.
yeah.
Kind of what you were talking about. That's why I kind of popped in with that word netbook, because I had a netbook like that where they're like, hey, we're going to give you Windows 7 Starter. You can't really do anything with it. So if you want, you can upgrade.
What were the limits on it? I can't remember.
You couldn't change the wallpaper. I remember that.
That's not a deal breaker.
No, but it just seemed really petty. Like, why can't I do it? Like, come on.
I didn't know that. That's funny.
You cheap bastard! You want to do that? Why don't you pay for it?
It's just like, really, guys?
Yeah, but the issue with these is that they would only run Windows Store apps. So that would suck to buy what you think is just a normal Windows laptop for $250. And if it turns out not to run desktop apps, I think there's the potential for a lot of confusion and outrage if that happens.
But those people can upgrade, right? They can do the.
Yeah.
for $50.
After the first year, right? I think.
Well, that's only for the Surface.
Oh, so everyone else is just $50 out the door.
Yep.
So-
I mean, they're doing it free for schools and educators and stuff. But if you buy one of these yourself and you want to upgrade to Pro, it's $50.
Well, here's my other question: can I download an ISO for Windows 10s, install it on a box, and not have the the Win32 support, and basically do it for free? Is that an option, or is this an OEM only?
I'm not sure that far into details. I would, I mean, they only said so much today,
Right.
but I would think you'd be able to download an ISO. You couldn't configure it on this Windows Store only machine, obviously. And then you could probably get normal Windows on there, but you'd have to pay for a license for Windows, right?
I don't know.
Theoretically.
I'm guessing if the Windows 10s version, maybe it's free. We don't know what the cost is. I mean, maybe that's incentive to OEMs too. Like, hey, whatever, you're paying X amount for full, Windows license, and Windows 10s is free or very, very much cheaper. So why don't you push that option, right?
What if
Yeah.
what if it was cheaper, but it came with ads, Gordon?
Oh, yeah, that's a
The
good
full
one.
price version comes with ads. So
That's the future of computing there, Adam.
Yeah.
And actually, that is also our kick in the butt to move on
It's
to
also
the
a
next
nice
segment.
little
Oh.
like poke to move along.
Segue.
Does the Windows 7 starter have the ad? You couldn't change the desktop. It was an ad on your desktop.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that actually even better than your operating system where it has permanent ads installed on it is what AMD decided to try to do, right, Brad?
yeah, so last week, the new AMD, I forget the number, drivers came out for Dawn of War 3, so on and so forth. If you're using Radeon settings, it automatically upgrades. When they installed, it stealth dropped a link to the Quake Champions beta website on people's desktops. They didn't warn you it was going to do it. They didn't give you any way out of doing it.
Jeez.
You just installed it, and all of a sudden there's a bit.ly link with the tracking code on your desktop. And a lot of people were very, very upset about that. And the internet burned down in enthusiast areas, and AMD reversed the decision within 24 hours. But it was kind of troubling that they did it to begin with.
And as I understand it, they did not consider it as an ad, right?
No, they consider it. They're offering access to the Quake Champions beta, which went on last weekend. They consider it a perk, which it is. NVIDIA does the same kind of things. But they don't stealth drop random bit.ly website links on websites, right? Because that's without permission, cluttering up users' website desktops is kind of crappy, and nobody wants that.
Yeah.
seems
If they'd have done it
weird.
right inside the Radeon settings app, that would have been totally different. But I mean, if you weren't paying attention and you just installed your new driver, right, and then you weren't paying attention, And then you came back the next day and you saw all of a sudden there's this Bitly code for something out of nowhere on your desktop. You'd think you got malware, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's not a good impression.
I mean, is there any way anybody over at AMD was like, man, I've got this good idea and everybody's going to love it. You know, people are going to get access to this cool perk. Let's just do it. I mean, like, I don't understand how they thought nobody would get mad about this. Like, am I missing something? Like, I don't get
Their
it.
director of software said it was on him and he made the call. And he didn't think that it would be an issue. He was trying to test a new way to deliver exclusive access to, a hot beta to AMD users. And he was actually, I thought it was pretty cool, on Twitter as people were tweeting him in outrage about it, saying, "You're right. I'm sorry. We changed it." So,
Which is good. Good on him. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. They tried it, and he clearly came back and said it was
Right.
my bad, right?
But why couldn't they have anticipated that reaction? That's the weird part.
so bad. Yeah, it's such a bad idea.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that somebody didn't. But maybe it just seems like if you could but you can never predict the internet, right? It's like, hey, I'm going to drop this link on your desktop that if you click on it, you will get $100. People would be angry. They would really be angry. I mean,
If you did it without warning and without
Yes.
asking,
Yeah.
yes.
but think about that though.
I mean, especially hot off the heels of all these forced Windows upgrades and switching from 7 and 8 to 10. Like obviously people didn't like that.
It kind of burned more because for AMD fans, I was reading the AMD subreddit was very, very upset because they all like how AMD is usually pretty straightforward with its drivers. Whereas like with GeForce Experience, you have to sign up for mandatory registration. You got to sign up with your email or your Facebook or something, and they hate that.
Yeah.
So for AMD to drop this on there without permission, a lot of people were very upset.
One thing I want to know is this sort of like the future of where we're going? I mean, clearly this sort of backfired, but man, could we get a Windows 10s?
It seems
just ads everywhere.
I mean, it's 2 data points are not enough to draw,
Yes, it is because we're the media.
But I mean, I feel like we are in this territory now where they're like, oh, hey, we have this captive audience. What can we do with that? Because remember Google Home when they were doing the Beauty and the Beast, like
Yeah.
the quasi ads,
yeah. Yep.
Just
What's
like,
the weather like today? Oh, it's Beauty and the Beast.
like, and I just feel like they just don't understand what to do with it. They're like, well, we have a captive audience. Obviously, we should do something with it. And you're like, no, there's a captive audience because those are your customers.
Yeah, I mean,
I would be more open to it if it wasn't for things that you're not spending money on. Because Google Home's $130. An AMD graphics card could be $500.
Right.
Windows, you pay $100 for it. So to keep having ads, pushed at you through that sucks.
Yeah, I'm so tired of Windows 10 asking me about Office.
Oh.
Like, come on, guys.
yeah, and then Windows 10, like when you fire Chrome up, it's like, whoa, why are you using Chrome? You can use Edge.
Did you know it's faster?
Yes.
Yes.
Google does that too if you're using Edge.
True.
To be fair, but that's free. That's a big difference, right?
Well, and
I don't think so. I think I'm tired of look, I'm self-aware. I can make this decision. I know I have made this decision. I know there's some people who haven't, but stop trying to trick us and push us around to do stuff. Come on, just let us do the thing we want to do, right? I mean, I'm sick of it. Yeah, the whole Beauty and the that is like even worse. I mean, yeah, okay, this is a driver on your desktop. Yeah, you're gonna be pissed off, but this is like this thing that's listening to you all the time and then start pushing ads on you.
Yeah.
What's my schedule look like today? Beauty and the Beast is opening. It's like, what?
I don't understand. Like, they could have done it so much better, too. They could have said, so these are the things that are happening today. And by the way, there's a thing that's happening that a lot of people are probably talking about. And it's the Beauty and the Beast, live action remake.
Or at
Well,
least
that's the same thing with this, right? I mean, if they had offered this, which it is a perk, right? Offering access to this beta people are trying to get into, which a closed beta is a perk. If they had done it through Radeon settings while it's installing, it opens while you're installing drivers and said, hey, do you want access to this beta? Click yes.
I mean,
Everyone would be
Yeah.
pumped.
I mean, granted, a lot of people in the chat are saying, "Hey, the Quick Champions is fun. They're they're glad they have access to it." But yeah, it's like, were they trying to get outreach? Like, oh, hey, we want people to know about it. But I mean, it's like the people who want to know about it probably already know about it, right? I mean,
But again, like Brad's saying, it can't be that hard to just have a consent,
Yeah.
window, yes or no, as opposed to just being like, boom, there you go.
Yeah.
Well,
When you upgrade the Radeon, your drivers with Radeon settings, it opens back up Radeon settings after it's done. So you could just have the screen there, and then nobody would be confused. Nobody would think they had malware on their desktop.
Or even what if they did a hyperlink to open up, Chrome or whatever you're using to have a splash page, hey, Quake Champions website, sign up for the beta, I mean, even that I'm a little more okay with. Yeah.
don't
drop anything on my desktop. I'm not okay with dropping stuff on my desktop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people just, I think we're just sick of ads coming at us all the time, from your whatever Google Home telling you about Beauty and the Beast to that.
Yeah, like that.
By the way, this podcast is brought to you by Fire 2018. Make sure you attend Fire 2018.
Well, somebody did mention about the ad for the hint water on the table right there, being good placement.
This is actually free for us. I know that our company is paying for it, but here, I
better hide that.
I can advertise my corporate laptop
There
instead.
we go. Lenovo ThinkPad.
I don't know. So, I mean, clearly AMD's not. Have they said they're never going to do it again, kind of?
They didn't. I asked a bunch of deeper questions, and they didn't respond to any of them. They just gave me a canned statement. But from what the director of software strategy was saying on Twitter, it sounds like they're like, yeah, that was a bad idea. We're not doing that. So they reversed it right away. I would hope it doesn't happen again anytime soon.
Okay.
So hopefully, I would think after all that uproar, man, because Twitter was a mess in Radeon circles. Every single major PC and gaming related subreddit on Reddit was just like, look at this crap that they're pulling. So it was like a major firestorm.
Yeah, people don't like their ads. They just don't like advertising.
Especially if it's invasive advertising.
Yeah, if it's in your face, right? So that was a bad thing about it. All right, we're going to move on to the next thing because we are rapidly running out of time.
Boom.
Another Brad topic, better GPU cooling. Now, of course, this is a reference coolers versus...
Yeah, it was pretty interesting, actually. I recently, with the launch of the RX 500 series coming out, I got a chance to test a bunch of different coolers, and I just thought it was really interesting to see, because everyone always thinks, GTX 1060 versus RX 580, but people don't often talk so much about how the different custom coolers can make such a big difference to performance for the card you're doing. So like EVGA and ASUS and Sapphire, they all put their own touch on graphics cards, right? Their own custom coolers, their own overclocks. And I tested a bunch of them, and it makes a huge difference. The one that I tested last week, I tested both the Sapphire RX 580 and the Asus Strix 580, which are two different cards. And they're very different cards. They get about the exact same performance, actually. But the Sapphire card is much smaller. It's a 2-slot design. Keeps things relatively cool. Asus went with a huge, massive Strix cooler, 2.5 slots, 3 slots, full length, just a massive thing. And even though it got about the same performance as the Sapphire RX 580, it never went above 56 degrees in our temperature test.
That's a big card, though.
Yeah, it's
2.5 slots for RX 580.
Yeah, it's huge. It's it's an enthusiast class cooler on a mainstream graphics card, and the difference between those graphics cards are $50, so you pay for that difference. So I just thought it was interesting looking at that. If you look at reference coolers, they'll be up there around 80-degree temperatures. They might throttle a little bit more. Whereas if you pay attention and pay extra for these extra coolers, you get much better thermal performance. Sometimes you get better gaming performance. And just thought that was interesting.
Hey, real quick question, Brad. Just for people who don't know, can you walk through us a little bit of how you do the testing on these cards for the heat and performance and stuff?
Sure. There are all kinds of different ways you can test this stuff. I used to test with Furmark, which is like a worst case scenario, but that was so wildly different from what I would actually see in games that what I actually started doing is running, after doing my full set of testing so that the GPU is already warmed up, I would then run the Division at 4K resolution while running SpeedFan in the background to keep track of deep GPU temperature. And I run that 2 or 3 times, and I record the highest value found.
Okay, cool.
So you would, if you had to go out and get a 580 class card, you would pay the extra for an aftermarket, not a reference cooler?
Yes, definitely. Between that, I also recently tested the Founders Edition 1080 Ti versus the EVGA SC2 that we did recently. And it was just such a massive difference in cooling potential that it's worth, especially if you live in a hot place, it's worth the extra money depending on the markup to spend a little bit more on a custom cooler. Like the Asus Strix is so over-engineered that it's not worth it. It's $300, which is kind of insane for RX 580. Whereas you can get the Sapphire version for $250, so $50 less, and it delivers. It has an overclock and it never throttles because the cooler is so effective that makes it easily worth the $20 markup. I think it is over MSRP.
So, Brad,
And I'm not done. I should be getting in this week. Sapphire has budget cards, a budget 570, a budget 580, which is basic coolers. So I've tested a couple premium versions already. I'm going to test their budget coolers next, see how those hold up.
So my question is then, do you have any recommendations for people who want to figure out what the best aftermarket cooler is going to be for their situation?
It can get complicated. It depends on the reference blower style coolers are usually crap unless you have a small form factor PC because you want to expel it through your back of your machine. I would say just what I always go back to is do research. I mean, before you spend $300 on a graphics card, go out there and look for a couple reviews, see what's the best available option. I mean, you can kind of tell looking at cards too, whether MSI has the Armor series, which is their basic bare bones custom cooler, and it's about the same price as MSRP for these cards. And that's not going to offer the same level of performance as one that is $10 or $20 more, has a big custom cooler, has a factory overclock.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. If you we're bad. If you there are some big names in graphics cards, right? And if all the big names, MSI, Asus, EVGA, Sapphire, so on and so forth, they're big names for a reason. Their cards tend to be worth the money.
So the question from Ready Player One on YouTube is asking, do you do any ambient air temperature testing? So then you can figure out, okay, this is what it's going to look like in my box.
No, I do not. But I do, whenever I run a test, I rerun all the graphics cards, so it's all in the same environment.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny because the conventional wisdom for a long time is, NVIDIA's reference coolers are really good, and AMD's reference coolers, of course, their previous cards were really hot or kind of mediocre, but it sounds like you're actually finding the aftermarket coolers to be better than the standard reference cooler designed for NVIDIA these days.
Yes, definitely. The reference, let's see, I had this right here. The reference 1070, which is a step up over the 580, it was hitting 74 degrees Celsius in our testing. Whereas these aftermarket RX 580s, which are a lot more power hungry, a lot hotter, the Sapphire was only 68 degrees, so 6 degrees less than the reference GTX 1070. And the Asus Strix 580 got all the way down. It'll never top 56 degrees. So
it's not bad.
Yeah.
Can you get them with ads on, make it a little cheaper? Maybe just screen an ad on the card.
What is it? What is that phrasing that Amazon uses with special offers?
Special offers.
There you go.
Would people do that? I mean, if you get the game where it's hey, it's $10 less, but there's going to be ads sprinkled throughout the game as you're running through some post-apocalyptic
billboards.
Environment.
Some games already do that with billboards.
Yeah, they had talked about that. Yeah. Yeah. What was it? Burnout Paradise? Was that? I feel like that was one of them back in the day.
I wouldn't want to take it just to see the advertising in the game, Wouldn't you? I mean,
yeah, why not?
You save $30 off that Kindle by taking the ads.
But what if it makes it run crappier because it's got to refresh the stuff in the game every once in a while?
Maybe it actually changes the storyline. It inserts your sidekick who's
Mr.
Come on, Pepto Bismol, let's go.
Hey, I'd do that.
Yeah. All right. I think we have. Oh, look at this. We may actually get out of here on time. We won't get in trouble.
Nah, we'll see how many questions we got.
How many? So we're our last segment. Let's move the thing on to Q&A. Q&A, answers and questions.
Did it.
So does anybody have questions on the internet for us?
Well, first off, we'll say ask Gordon, Brad, and Elena anything. They'll answer anything. This is your time to hit them hard with these awesome PC questions. I do have one about anything new about Vega from AMD. It sounds like everybody's upset that they're on radio silence.
They're still on track to launch this quarter. They said that yesterday at the earnings call. I mean, they haven't really said anything new since GDC, where they showed a couple of things, minor things, and pulled the whole, Radeon Vega's name is going to be Radeon Vega. But they've been saying Q2 all along, and that's just where they are right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if, Computex and E3 are right around the corner. One of those shows I would expect.
Yeah, and then that came from Five Basher. He said he's hyped for Vega, but he's going to trade in his 1080 for Vega and a FreeSync monitor. Yeah, Is that a good idea?
I gotta say that's compelling. If it's
depends on performance.
Well, let's assume it's 1080 to 1080 Ti. It's got to fall in between those, right? But really, that curveball is that FreeSync panel.
That's a huge draw. That's a huge draw for AMD. I think that they don't charge extra for that, and if you can get out of there if you're looking to replace your monitor anyway, that would be a pretty compelling combo, I would think.
Yeah.
The thing with FreeSync as opposed to G-Sync is they only support certain ranges. So just do your research and make sure that the supported ranges of frame rates are inside the frame rates of what you're looking to play at.
So we got another question from Sam Rida on Facebook. It's a little bit general. Is AMD better than Intel?
At graphics? Yeah, that's easy. That one's pretty easy. Graphics, way better.
I feel like we've had this discussion many times so far on the show in recent months.
If we're talking x86 side, it kind of depends. There's pluses and minuses of both the platform. You don't listen to us, read our reviews, read other people's reviews, decide what your needs are. Do you need more cores, more threads? AMD definitely gives you that. You need a crap load more PCIe lanes. You're only going to really get that out of sort of high-end Intel right now. You really need high IPC, high clock speed. That's still Kaby Lake. So go on what your needs are. Don't go by what people on the internet tell you. Which I just told you on the internet.
Good life advice.
So here's a good one for Elena from Thomas on YouTube. What's the best tablet lightweight laptop that I can travel with and use Ableton Live 9 on?
And use what?
Ableton Live 9.
I don't actually know what that is.
Oh, it's a music production.
So is it a Windows app or Android? I am guessing.
No, it's Windows. Yeah.
Oh, Windows. So
yeah.
I mean, how system intensive is that particular program? I'm not familiar with it.
Well, it depends. You load up a bunch of audio loops, and it's as intensive as any of the other audio programs. Doesn't the guy in the testing lab, doesn't he load up Ableton?
Yeah, I gotta say I didn't find it to be super thread heavy. So, and then frankly, it's mobile. We're talking AMD anyway, or we're talking Intel anyway. So, you really want the most powerful tablet you can get.
Yeah, I guess I'm wondering, the tablet sounds like they're looking for something that's just lightweight, easy to carry.
Yeah, I think he means a little more like convertible, maybe.
There's actually a lot of good options out there right now. It just depends on the price point, how much you want to spend. Because obviously the lighter you go, the more you're going to start paying for performance. So if you want to kind of keep that delta just in that sweet spot between all three, I'd say you're probably looking at, if you're not worried about price, probably something like Surface Pro 4, possibly one of HP's, what is it, the X2.
Right.
The one with the kickstand. That one's getting a little older though. That's Core M, I believe. Mm-hmm. So you'll pay less. It's a little heavier, but it also has slightly lower top end performance.
Yeah, for a pure tablet, right?
Yeah, and then there's also this HP Spectre that Gordon has. That starts about $1,000, but it's 2-in-1, so you can flip it between different form factors. A little bit on the heavier side compared to something like the Surface Pro 4, because Surface Pro 4, the type cover weighs less than an actual, keyboard.
But I got to say, the one thing I found is it is actually very nice to not lose lappability.
Yeah.
To these convertibles, I really, for a long time, I thought they were useless, but I got to say, it'd be tough to go back to a Surface Pro at this point. I think these convertibles have gotten so light and so thin. I mean,
They have, but if even like a matter of ounces matter to you, as they do for me, because I try to cram everything into a single backpack when I travel. For me, I would go still with the Surface Pro 4. But if I didn't worry so much about, say, like 5 or 6 ounces, then probably I would go with the Spectre.
Okay.
do you think a Surface Book is a alternative at all, or just too heavy?
Surface Book is so expensive.
But you're getting Surface.
I mean, do you want to pay
That hinge is
$1,000
kinda wonky,
or
too, in your
$2,200?
bag.
it looks cool, man. Yeah, I know. It is interesting.
Yeah. All right. Brad, here's one for you. RX 580 or R9 Fury X?
R9 Fury X. If you can get them for the same price, I would get the Fury X. It's going to use a lot more power. It's going to give you more performance. And it has that badass integrated water cooler. So, I mean, if you can get it for if you can find a Fury for Fury X for $250 to $300, that's pretty. At that point, I would be interested in that. It only has 4 gigabytes of RAM, but it's the faster HBM, so it's really not too much of an issue in a lot of games. But yeah, good luck finding one that price though.
But I was wondering, so the 4 gig frame buffer doesn't kill you too much, just because the bandwidth is just so much greater. Or the 8
Yeah, I
gig?
forget. I haven't tested it in a few months, but I wasn't having issues. Yeah, because the bandwidth was so high that it was just, even on games that use a lot of bandwidth, it just chews through it. So.
Okay.
But if you can find comparable pricing, Fury X all day long. That's still actually my favorite design, the look of it, of any graphics card I've ever tested. I love that thing. It's gorgeous.
Nice. Another quick one. I think I know the answer on this. From Zemajo on YouTube. Does gaming mode in the Windows 10 update make a difference?
That's a Brad.
It's a Brad question.
Yes, this is interesting because Linus Tech Tips just put out a video saying it does not and it sucks. And that's not necessarily true because him and a lot of other testers are testing it on gaming PCs. And if you have a gaming PC where you already have even a budget gaming PC, if you have a PC with a discrete graphics card, it's probably not going to make a difference to you. It might even possibly, depending on the game, push performance a little bit down depending on how it behaves. But if you use a laptop or if you're using a gaming PC where you have stuff running in the background, which Linus didn't do in his testing, not to call him out, just saying. So like if you're running Chrome and Discord or you're playing Spotify in the background, the idea is that game mode devotes more resources to your game and less to those. So I tested it on a Surface Book with NVIDIA N65, 965, I believe.
965
graphics.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it made a huge difference running a YouTube video and AV in the background. Like it made a huge difference. It doubled the minimum frame rate in that case. So it can work very, very well in budget hardware or on systems where you got a bunch of stuff running. But if you're the kind of gamer who closes everything down, maybe leaves just Discord open and plays already on good hardware, it probably won't make too much of a difference.
What about really limited hardware, like say a config where you've got 8 gigs or 4 gigs of RAM? I mean, that's
8 gigs is not limited.
Yeah, 8 is on a desktop. Well, on a desktop, 8 gigs is pretty much entry level at this point, right? So, say 4 gigs or 6, some weird duck configuration like that, and like a entry level video card.
It wouldn't make a difference with the gigs because currently it only affects CPU and GPU.
Oh, okay.
So,
they're not pushing processes out of the way.
Nope, they said there's going to be more improvements coming. They told us. Sounded RAM. It seems like that would make sense. But yeah, you'd think the more system constrained that you are, the more of a difference it'll have. Like if you're running on a dual core or quad core processor and you're already seeing, high CPU utilization, then running this could very well mean the difference between playable and not playable. That's what I found in my Surface Book testing. So.
Well, and hey, if Linus Tech Tips wants to come on the show, and talk with us about it, come on. You're welcome anytime for sure.
No, he does good work, but that just came out yesterday. I think that was the genesis, maybe, for that question because it was going around quite a bit. People were asking me about that on Twitter. Why is it so different? It's because we use different testing systems, right? Mm-hmm. He was just testing it in a pure gaming environment. I was testing it in a mixed environment, and so that's why there's the difference.
All right, cool. Then. let's do this. The last one. This kind of goes full circle. From Ben 10. He came a little late. Did we say whether the Surface laptop is good for gaming or not?
No, there is an Iris Plus 640 version, which
Those are only in the Core i7 ones.
in the Core i7 there's an Iris version. The other one is just pretty much a standard Kaby Lake Iris 620. I know they do call out Apple because it's always fun to call Apple out, and they say it's 50% faster than the MacBook Air 13, but my phone is 50% faster than a MacBook Air 13 at this point. But yeah, for gaming, Kaby Lake graphics and the Iris Plus one, you can get some, esports class graphics at, probably acceptable frame rates,
Oh, hear the pain in your voice.
It's not going to be great. It's not going to be they're not designed for gaming. I will say you probably can play some games. It depends on where you're from. Like if you're running a 1080 Ti on your desktop, this is not going to be a gaming device for you. But if you're coming from integrated graphics, these will probably be better than whatever you're running right now. So
Cool.
yeah,
Let's leave it with that then.
that is the last question. Look at that. We're only 5 minutes over. Actually, I think we're right. We should get an award.
Yeah.
We go over all the time. They should give us an award for this, like free donuts.
You're not
or
getting
something.
fired.
Yes, that's good. All right. And to see if we got fired, check back in 2 weeks for your fix of PC talk on The Full Nerd. For audio listeners, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. Send questions. We really want to hear them, and I will check before the next 3-month period. And comments to thefullnerd@PCWorld.com. Again, that is thefullnerd@PCWorld.com. Thanks for coming. I'm Gordon Ung with co-host Brad Charkis,
Adios.
Eleni Yee,
Bye, everyone.
and Adam Patrick Murray will take us out.
Have fun or not.